Welcome to, hang on, getting some feedback. Sorry. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's final session of the Safety Nets Ergo Summit. Thank you for joining us all week, and especially thank you for joining us for this session titled Rest, Recovery, Repeat, the Role of Sleep Hygiene and Injury Prevention. But before we dive into that, I just want to say, as always, my contact information is in the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out using that contact information. Additionally, Crystal is sharing under the handouts. We have two PDFs for you to download and take a look at, as well as in the bottom left-hand corner, a link to her YouTube channel. So please feel free to check all of that out. And again, if you have any questions for Crystal throughout her session, please feel free to type those in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. Now on to Crystal. Crystal is the founder of Alter Ergo and has an extensive background in occupational therapy with a special focus on minimizing musculoskeletal disorders in the workplace. And so basically, we're going to be covering how we can do that and how rest affects that and sleep. So having said that, I'll turn it over to you, Crystal. The floor is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction. So yes, I am Crystal Nelson. I am an ergonomist. So I graduated from college with a degree in occupational therapy. I spent a few years in the rehab industry. Most of those years were rehabbing upper extremity injuries. So like carpal tunnel syndrome, tendonitis, rotator cuff disorders. I love treating the shoulder. My other favorite issue to treat was Parkinson's disease. So I love a little neuro too. And then a few years after that, I really realized that ergonomics is my passion, and I wanted to reduce the injuries that I was treating. So that led me to being a board certified ergonomist. So today we are going to talk about sleep. So a lot of the times when we think of ergonomics, we think of safe lifting, different equipment to keep our neutral postures, but sleep affects all types of ergonomics. So today we'll talk about how it relates to sleep. We'll dig into just some sleep 101 basics, talk about our sleep cycles, results of sleep deprivation, and sleep hygiene tips. If you do have questions along the way, just put them into the chat and then I will answer those at the end of our presentation today. So with ergonomics, there are 4 types of ergonomics. Usually when we hear the word ergonomics, we think of physical ergonomics. So that is our engineering controls. So our ergonomic chair, our height adjustable desk, maybe a tool balancer, even a scissor lift to get somebody up instead of a ladder. Those are all things that we can do within the workplace that are considered physical ergonomics. There's also environmental ergonomics. So that would be our vibration, our light and sound and those types of things. Organizational ergonomics is a kind of an overall big ergonomic system. So we're looking at everyone starting at the very top, our COO, CEO, or owner, all the way down to the last person that is hired. So how can everyone in that entity be involved in an ergonomics program? I usually implement ergonomics programs starting at 1 year all the way up to the foreseeable future, forever. Many of my services are ergonomic assessments, stretching programs, functional job assessments, and working with companies with an ergonomics program. I'm based out of Fargo, North Dakota. So if you've never met anyone from North Dakota, here I am, kind of hidden up in the US. And I do travel throughout the US for a few different companies. So every East, West Coast, all the way down south, and all the way to New York as well. So the last type of ergonomics is cognitive ergonomics. So a cognitive ergonomics considers how much information we can process when looking at like a software program, or how much information we can process when we're looking at the screen in front of us. So it allows us to enter in information little bits at a time so we don't get overwhelmed. And if we do get overwhelmed, those bits of information can be put to the wayside. So with sleep, I would say the 2 types of ergonomics that are most effective when we are lacking sleep would be physical ergonomics and cognitive ergonomics. All right, so as we get started here, I want you to think about your sleep quality, your sleep hygiene, and I want you to give yourself a rating. We're going to rate it on a scale of 0 all the way up to 10. So if your sleep quality is a 0, I want you to think that maybe 0 is the worst quality of sleep you could ever imagine. So maybe I think of new parents in this situation where they have babies that are colicky and no one is really sleeping. Maybe you've gone through some trauma, so you can't sleep, or maybe you've lost a loved one where grieving that loved one can give you that just awful sleep quality, all the way up to a 10, where you are sleeping soundly all night long. You're sleeping for 8 hours. You're waking up rested and rejuvenated. There maybe isn't really anything you could possibly do to make your night of sleep any better. So think to yourself, keep that number in your head, write it down. And as we go along here, I want you just to take some mental notes as far as what you can do to make that number a little bit better, or what you can do to maintain that number 10. All right, so what is sleep? Sleep is an active, regulated, and metabolically distinct state. It's essential for health and well-being. So there are 2 different types of sleep and 4 stages. So there's rapid eye movement. That's where most of us have heard about sleep, is REM. And then there's non-REM sleep. And these are divided into 3, sometimes 4, depending on which textbook you're looking at, stages. And each night there are 4 to 6 cycles of these stages. So let's break these down and talk about stage 1. So within minutes, sometimes even in seconds of nodding off, your brain produces what is called alpha and theta waves, and your eye movements slow down. This introduction to sleep is relatively brief, and it lasts about 7 minutes. And here you are in a light stage of sleep. It means that you're somewhat alert and you can be easily woken up. It's during this stage of sleep that people usually indulge in maybe a little cat nap. And then after stage 1, we go deeper into stage 2. So stage 2 is also fairly light. The brain produces sudden increases in brain wave frequency, known as sleep spindles. The brain waves slow down, and if you were to schedule a power nap, you'd want to wake up after this stage of sleep. So power naps are anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, so you can maintain in those lighter levels of sleep at 1 and 2. You want to avoid going into those deeper levels because that will affect your nightly sleep. And that's only for a power nap. All right, next stage is 3. At this stage, you're beginning to go into that deeper state of sleep, and then you begin to produce slower delta waves. You won't experience any eye movement or muscle activity. At this point, it becomes a little harder for you to be awakened because your body becomes less responsive to stimuli. So I feel like there are some nights where I must be in stage 3 and 4 because my husband will put his cold feet on my warm legs to warm himself up. And he says I never wake up. So good for him. He has that resource. But maybe I stay in stage 3 for that. So in stage 3, that's when your body repairs muscles and tissues. It stimulates growth and development, boosts our immune function, and builds up energy for the next day. So we go to 1, 2, 3, and then we climb back up to REM, so rapid eye movement sleep. So rapid eye movement, REM, I'll call it REM sleep, usually lasts for about 90 minutes after initially falling asleep. The average adult has about 5 to 6 REM cycles each night if you're getting a full night's rest. And then during this final phase of sleep, your brain becomes more active. So this is when most dreaming occurs. Your eyes jerk quickly back and forth, hence the name rapid eye movement. Your heart rate and blood pressure increase, breathing becomes faster, sometimes irregular and shallow. And then REM plays an important role in learning and memory function. This is when your brain consolidates information from your day into your long-term memory sources. we should try to aim for 20 to 25 of our nights rest to be in REM. So now we have these fun little gadgets that we wear on our wrists. So like a Fitbit, Apple Watch, I'm a big fan of Garmin. I think Whoop travels sleep as well. And we can easily track how we're doing with our sleep. So it is important to note with the different phases that we're in, they're different for adults than they are for infants. And then on average, you move through the stages in a very sequential fashion. So you go 1, 2, 3 REM, 1, 2, 3 REM. And most non-REM sleep occurs in the night, and the length of REM periods increases as the night goes on. So that's why there's a good chance that when you awaken in the morning, you are dreaming, and hopefully it's a good dream when you wake up. So the amount of REM you experience when you first fall asleep is significantly less than the amount of REM you experience at the morning time when you wake up. When I do this presentation, I get questions about this phenomenon that happens when we fall asleep too quickly and we just startle awake. The term for this is called a hypnic jerk, and I like to talk about it because it's kind of it's a phenomenon that continues to be studied, and there aren't a ton of answers with why we experience a hypnic jerk. But it is natural as our body shuts down for rest, and it goes through the first phase of sleep. And sometimes we get into that first phase too fast because of exhaustion. So some doctors believe this shutdown may trigger the brain to think that your vitals are actually failing, and in response, it jerks your body awake to keep you alive, so to say, even though we are alive. It's possibly a type of a protective mechanism, but studies and doctors aren't sure because it is difficult to study. What we do know is that if you are experiencing hypnic jerks, that it's a result of sleep deprivation, stress, and intoxication as well. So be mindful of your sleep quantity and quality of sleep at this time. All right, so here's a sleep cycle. We start out, the W means you were awake, and then we go into level 1, 2, 3. We stay in that deep sleep, and then as we creep back up after about 90 minutes, we're at REM. So that is one cycle of sleep. And then here's what your sleep looks like as you continue to sleep throughout the night. So we have our deep sleep that happens right as we fall asleep, a little bit of REM, more deep sleep, more deep sleep, and then even more REM, and then we continue to go into those longer REM states. So fun fact, which isn't very good news, but we're sleeping 20% less now than we were just 20 years ago. So it seems like studies are finding that we're doing this because of lifestyle reasons, whether it's work, social media, TV shows, or even household chores. Sometimes there's just not enough time in the day to get everything done. So if you don't sleep enough, this can lead to some unhealthy things. So no sleep for 24 hours means you're in total sleep deprivation. You may go on to autopilot, or also called micro sleep, where you just do the things without necessarily thinking about them. If we don't sleep for 35 hours, you become irrational and angry, or your brain takes in a lot of information as negative. So for those of you who have seen the movie Inside Out 2, there's this little river of sarcasm, and the emotions make a comment like, oh, hey, nice shirt. But the person who receives that information receives it as, ha, nice shirt, with a little sarcasm. That's kind of how our brain takes in information, where even though the comment or feedback is intended to be helpful, our body takes it as more negative. And then if we don't sleep for 48 hours, this is when we start to hallucinate. So start to see things, hear things, feel things, you name it. Not allowing someone to sleep used to be a method of torture many years ago too. There are some studies that say you can recover from some lack of sleep. So people have asked me, okay, what if I don't sleep really well tonight? Can I get those hours back? Technically, you can't get them back, but if you recover from that by getting your 8 hours of sleep the following 4 nights. If you can get back to your routine within 5 hours, 5 days, then the lack of sleep that you did experience may not be as detrimental. All right, I love research. If I would go back, I think I would just be a research analyst and get my PhD and look at studies and do the studies all day long. So I can't do a presentation without some statistics. So here we go. Sleep improves your ability to make more accurate split-second decisions by 4%. You may think, okay, 4% is really not that great, but really when you have to make that split-second decision, every millisecond counts. The National Commission on Sleep Disorders reported that decreased productivity and accidents in the workplace cost the nation $150 billion per year. And according to the CDC, 1 in every 25 adults report they fall asleep at the wheel at least once a month, which results in an estimated 6,000 fatal crashes a year. And new parents, oh, those babies are so darn cute, but they lose approximately 2 hours of sleep per night when babies are 0 to 3 months old. Our neighbor was bragging about how their little baby's going to be 1 soon and everyone's going to sleep through the night. I don't think that's the case. Actually, I know that's the case. I have 4 kids. I've gone, I think, 8 nights in a row, knock on wood, of sleeping without anyone waking me up. But parents lose sleep each night if the children are 0 to 6 years old, just from bad dreams. They get thirsty. They need an extra snuggle, you name it. But they're there to keep us on our toes. So why do we need sleep? It's critical for body systems to restore processes and improve functions. Storage of information is received through the day and it's consolidated into our long-term memory. And our body systems just can't function optimally without sleep. So it's one of those 3 pillars. We need to take mind or be mindful of our sleep, just like exercising and nutrition too. All right, I have a whole list of lack of sleep effects, and I feel like the list could go even further than what we have here. But lack of sleep is so incredibly highly coordinated to so many things in our life that it's just one of those things that should be that number 1 priority for your health and happiness. So if we don't sleep, we can experience increased inflammation. There's correlations between less sleep and more sick days. There's increased stress on the heart. Your blood pressure stays elevated. There's a risk of heart diseases, heart attack, and stroke. There's an imbalance of blood glucose and metabolism, an increased risk for diabetes, impaired brain activity. You're irritable, difficulty with problem solving, decreased ability to communicate, to learn, and memory. Motor skills are impaired. There's a direct connection between sleepiness and impaired hand-eye coordination. This is a big one for working. So if you're sleeping and you're completing a task with your hands, which most of us do at our work, you may not be as well coordinated, which can lead to more injuries. Your balance can be affected. You may not notice anything that could trip you up. Fatigue happens. There's an increased risk of depression. You may have a decreased sex drive and relationship problems, inability to cope with stress, difficulty managing emotions, premature skin aging, weakened immune system. You'll have frequent colds, maybe some weight gain, impaired motor skills, some increased risk of serious health problems, including stroke again, Alzheimer's, and certain cancers. Okay, if this list doesn't scare you into sleeping more, then I'm out of answers. But our sleep is such an incredible tool to help us feel our best. So other factors are increased mortality. So we were chatting with the sleep doctor here in one of our major hospitals here in Fargo. And he had stated that if our bodies are designed to sleep for 8 hours a night, and we have been getting 7 hours of sleep a night, so just 1 hour less than our body wants to get, and we do that for years, for decades, maybe 30 years, we skip out on that extra hour of sleep. he said that there is a greater mortality rate for you. So he said up to 10 years less of life if you cut sleep out of your priority list. And then, of course, productivity and safety risks occur as well. So there's a question, can we get too much sleep though? So yes, you can get too much sleep. It is classified as more than 9 hours of sleep is defined as too much sleep. And this can just also lead to diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and even death in some cases. So just like sitting too much is not too good, standing too much is not too good, sleeping too much is not too great, eating that full bag of French fries maybe not be too good either, but it's all in moderation. So everything we do in moderation is great. All right, if you're curious about how to assess your own sleep, going beyond that little scale that we just talked about, where it was talking about going from 0 to 10 and giving yourself a little rating, there is the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. And with this scale, it allows you to have a standardized resource to look at so you can know if your sleep is improving or declining. This scale is copyrighted, so make sure you get it from a credible source. So let's go over how can I help you make your sleep better. So number one is set your bedtime and wake time consistently. So this is in the morning and at night, Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday. That doesn't mean sleep in on Saturdays and Sundays and reset on Monday. No, every day we should be going to bed and waking up at the same time. Our goal is to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Don't go to bed unless you are sleepy. So this may contradict what I just said. So bedtime and wake time should be consistent. So this means if you are working on setting that sleep schedule, so let's say you're trying to go to bed at 10 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. And going to bed at 10 p.m., you're just not really tired. You're having a tough time getting to that point. It's okay to stay up a little bit later, but you want to make sure that next morning you wake up at 6 a.m. with an alarm if you need it. And then you try it again the next night. And maybe you go to bed at 10:45 instead of 11, and you are slowly progressing into that goal of getting to bed at 10 p.m. Now, one thing to keep in mind with all of these tips, if you are thinking, oh my gosh, there is maybe half of these that I don't do right now that I should be getting better at, do not try to tackle all 50% tonight. So that's a lot for our bodies to get used to doing. Pick 1 or 2, focus on those items. And then once you accomplish those goals, then you can add more goals and more achievements to your sleep hygiene plan. One of the handouts that I have for you is all of these tips listed on a little PDF form. All right. Number 4, if you don't fall asleep after 20 minutes, get out of bed. But don't get out of bed and run around the house. We know that. So get out of bed, do some stretching, do some meditating, some deep breathing. Think of some things that you can do without the light on. Don't eat a large meal before bedtime. If you are hungry and you need a little something before bed, just grab a little snack and pair a carbohydrate with a protein. So this means like a bowl of cereal with some milk, some crackers and cheese, those types of things to just fill your tummy up a bit so you can sleep comfortably. Avoid caffeine 4 to 6 hours before bed. So some people metabolize caffeine differently. So that means there are some people who keep caffeine in their body for longer periods of time. And if you're one of those, that may just simply mean no more coffee after 10 a.m. or no more coffee after 9 a.m. because you can still feel the effects at nighttime. If you feel like, I just talked to a client the other day and she said, you know what, I can drink a Diet Coke right before bed and I'll sleep all night. So even though we're sleeping, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are getting good quality sleep that is helping us rest and recover. So that's where caffeine can affect those REM and non-REM sleep cycles. No alcohol before bed. So at least 2 to 3 hours before bed is when you want to avoid drinking alcohol. So alcohol helps us, I shouldn't say help, alcohol makes us fall asleep quicker and we sleep more deeply for a while, but then it reduces our REM sleep. And the more you drink before bed, the more pronounced these effects are. You also want to reduce fluid intake before bed. It just allows us to not have to get up, use the restroom. Establish a relaxing bedtime routine. So what this means is just limit your exposure to light. And I'm not talking just about the obvious, your TV screen, your computer screen, your phone. I'm thinking also about lamps in your room, your overhead lights. You want to make sure that the light within your space is that warmer kind of yellow tone of light. So any bright blue tinted light or very bright white light teaches our brain that we need to wake up and get ready for the day. Just like the sun shining. So the sun shines at different levels of light at different times of the day. So right as the sun is rising, it emits rays to signal to our brain that we need to get up and stay active for the day. So a really good practice is to get outside without any sunglasses on and just kind of enjoy the sunshine shining in your face. Don't look at the sun and just absorb the sun for about 15 minutes. And then as the sun is setting, also go outside again and enjoy the sun shining on your face. And when the sun sets, that sends signals to our brain that we need to shut down and go to sleep. And it's tougher in the winter months though, because it's 5 o'clock and the sun is setting and I'm not ready to go to bed at 5 o'clock. And then no electronics before bedtime. I'd say for sure set a very hard rule of 30 minutes before bedtime. If possible, try to extend that out to 3 hours before bedtime. And if you're falling asleep and you think of ideas, kind of like what I did last night for this presentation, and instead of letting those ideas swim around in your mind, have a little notepad and pen next to your bed. Take that idea, write it down, and let your brain forget about it so you can get a good rest. All right, make your bedroom quiet and relaxing. So your bedroom should be your time to just remove any part of your day and have a nice restful sleep. Make sure the lights are off. There should be no TV, no phone, no blue lights. It should be dark. Use earplugs or low-level white noise, or even there's a lot of research now about brown noise. It's just kind of a low hum level to help cancel out any noise that you may hear while you're sleeping. So temperature is a fun one. We want to keep our room at a comfortable temperature. And by comfortable, for sure, keep it under 70 degrees, preferably around 66 to 67 degrees. People have used this note from me to help settle maybe some differences that husbands and wives have about nighttime temperature. So keep it cool at night. You're going to get a better sleep quality when the temperature is cool. 14, this one's a little controversial, but no kids or animals in your bed. They're noisy. Actually, you're going to get a better night's rest if you just sleep alone. Limit naps except for shift workers. So power nap about 20 minutes before a shift so you can feel energized while you're working. Make sure you exercise 5 days a week for 30 minutes every day, focusing on cardio, stretching, and weights. Try not to exercise within 2 hours of sleeping, as exercise is more of an energizing activity. Make sure you maintain a healthy diet. So exercise, our diet, and sleep, 3 pillars to keep us alive and happy. And then do not make your bedroom, your office, your dining room, your exercise room. Your bedroom is there to sleep. There is a number 19 to help you sleep better. So put your minds in the gutter. I want to keep this G-rated, but number 19 can help you have a good rest too. All right. So if you're not sleeping well, make sure you talk to your healthcare provider. There are some really good resources out there like Zen Sleep Consulting. The owner of that one is Annie. She's a certified sleep consultant. There's certified sleep consultants all throughout the US, and they can really improve your sleep. A lot of the information that I grabbed today was from sleep.org, sleepfoundation.org, cdc.gov, and osha.gov. And they have all done the research to help us just get a better night's rest. So as an ergonomist, I am here to answer all of your sleep questions today as they relate to ergonomics. There's the handout with the tips. I also have another handout for how you should position yourself at your desk, because most of us sit at a desk throughout the day, and it's one little piece that I'm happy to share. Another thing that I do is I create YouTube videos and TikTok videos to share just random ergonomic tips and tricks to just help you feel better. So one way to support me is to subscribe to that YouTube channel and check out some of those videos to help you live more ergonomically. And I would say at this time, I am more than happy to help answer some of your questions. I'm going to go over to the chat here to see what I can find. So if you have questions, put them into the chat. Let me see here. So is it okay to read in bed to unwind before sleep? Absolutely. So if you have a paperback book or a hardcover book, then you can have a light shining onto the pages. Make sure the light does not shine into your eyes, and just have it at the lowest level where you can see effectively without having to crouch down too much. So reading is a really good bedtime activity. If you have a Kindle or you read from an electronic form, try to get the paperback type models where it's not the LED light shining in your eyes. And then also change the setting from that blue light all the way down to a yellow light, and put it on the lowest level of light where you can see the words enough, but it's not too bright. We have a comment on animals. They're cute, but dang it, they move a lot. Let's see. What is your take on memory foam versus spring mattresses? Oh gosh, that's a whole question for another presentation. Is mattresses, pillows, all of those things can greatly affect our sleep. Depends on, I would say mattresses oftentimes depend on your personal preference. We just want to make sure that we're getting enough support throughout our body with the mattress that we're using. So when we lay on our side, our spine should continue to be straight. So if your hips are sinking too far or your head is sinking down too far, then your mattress may not be supporting you as efficiently. But I have to be honest, I have not done a ton of research comparing memory foam versus spring. It's more so just making sure you have the support you need. You're staying cool, and you're able to get in and out of bed easily too. Did you speak about the ergo break exercises? If so, can you go over a view for office workers? Looking at your toolbox talk. So ergo break exercises, those are some from the back school, and they just allow you to get up and move throughout your workday. If you do the exercises, only do them if they feel comfortable. Don't do the exercises if they cause any discomfort. But maybe that might be another presentation where we just talk the basics on how to set up your office workstation and dig deeper into those exercises. Okay, Andrew, you had said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on habitual mouth breathing during sleep. Are solutions like, is it Boteco, breathing, nasal dilators, mouth tape, or elevating the head of the bed considered part of your ergonomics? Or are they strictly medical? I view breath work as mental reset within ergonomics, but I would appreciate your guidance on this. Okay, so I feel very fortunate that one of our friends is a sleep doctor, so I get to talk to him all the time about sleep. And he had said that so snoring is a really good indicator that we're not getting a good sleep quality. There is an app. I will find that and send that to Dan. He can share that with you, where it records the sounds you're making when you're sleeping, to figure out if you are at risk for any, or not at risk, but the sounds that the app records helps you figure out if you need to take further intervention and meet with a sleep consultant. When we do breathe, our goal is to have our mouth closed at night and our tongue pressed to the top roof of our mouth, and breathe through our nose. So one way you can do that is just when you are resting and working, just be mindful of where your tongue rests within your mouth. And then as you get used to that position when you're awake, it is more likely to carry over that habit when you sleep. So you can promote that you're a closed mouth. When your mouth is open, it just increases your risk for snoring a little bit more. As far as treatment methods for open mouth breathing, I would recommend just talking to a sleep consultant about that question, like a sleep doctor. Are there tips for folks that travel for work? Yes, if you're traveling for work and you are traveling for, maybe you're going across time zones, I want you to keep your sleep schedule as you would at home. So if you usually go to bed at 10 and wake up at 6 o'clock, I want you to do that when you go to the next time zone, even though their time is an hour ahead or an hour behind or 2 or 3 hours. And if you can, check out early, or not literally check out of the hotel at night, but check out of the nightly activities and say, all right, I need to get a good night's rest for tomorrow. The main thing for traveling is to stay on schedule. The other thing for traveling too is take along a sound machine, or whichever phone app you use, just have white noise playing in the background while you're sleeping to help filter out any noise in the hallways, ice machines, and those sorts of things. Okay, I think that's the end of our questions. Sometimes I get questions about how much sleep should everybody get no matter what age you are. I do have this slide at the end here, as this presentation is shared with you all later. Older adults do need more sleep. I have done a lot of rehab in geriatrics, and elderly people do end up needing more sleep than just 7 hours, and it's just how our body needs more time to recover. So this has been such a treat to speak with you all today. I wish I could all meet you in person. I'm definitely a social being and would love to just chat. So feel free to catch up with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any other ergonomic questions, I'm here to help you.
Crystal, thank you. That was absolutely incredible. Again, another thing that I never thought I didn't know anything about was sleep, like everything else. Just learned earlier today, I hold my phone completely wrong, which I do. And today I learned, I need to do much better with my sleep. I will say one of your top trips, the trick for travel, bringing a sound machine. Ever since we had our daughter, we bring ours when we travel, and that has really helped. So if you're used to that white noise or something, please, I second that. Definitely do it. But thank you again. Seriously, I think we couldn't be more thankful for you and your time to share all this with us. Clearly, sleep is really important in terms of our overall health, as well as a lot of things we talked about this week in terms of making sure physically, we're in the best shape that we can be, so we're not tripping over and causing, making things worse. for ourselves and increasing those ergonomic injuries. So thank you again for being here today. Thank you, everybody, for being here for the course of the week. I hope you enjoyed it. This is our last session. So I hope you're all taking away something positive from this experience and from the summit. I will be sending out an email later this either today or tomorrow or sometime this weekend, depending on how things go the rest of the day, which will have all the recordings as well as any of the resources that were provided by all of our speakers. So again, the PDFs that are here, please grab them now. And if you don't get a chance to do that now, they will be in the email. Also, before we go, I just want to say, feel free, bottom left-hand corner is the link to Crystal's YouTube channel. Please feel free to click on that, follow her there. But yeah, it's been a great week. Thank you for everybody for being here. Crystal, thank you again. Can't thank you enough. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody in the future in whether it's another Ergo Summit or another summit that we host as Safety Nights. So again, thank you, and look forward to seeing everyone in the future.
And thank you again.
Bye, everyone.